Hello there everyone, my name is Greasy Kilo and welcome to Colored Squares. Wait a minute, this isn't Colored Squares. This is not Colored Squares. So today we're going to be taking a look at not colored squares. This is the way the module looks, and the catch that you might notice is that this is a little bit different. Number one, for those of you who are familiar with the normal colored squares variant, what the catch with not colored squares and colored squares is the fact that colored squares, when you press the first button, in this case the least significant, the one that appears the least, that's going to be turning into a white press, and every single press afterwards will turn out to white. However, in this case, upon a successful button press, it will be black in colored squares that will be here. And if only one color occurs fewer times than any other, there is no tie that will be present for this one. That is the catch here. So for not colored squares, as you just saw at the end, what would happen is that no, I'm going to retry. So what's going to happen with this one is that there's going to be one square that is going to be the one that appears the least, group containing the fewer squares. And in this example, this is going to be green. And there's only going to be exactly one present. There is the possibility for colored squares to have two, for example. It does happen, but it's not that often. And what happens normally is that this square itself will turn white, but this one's actually going to turn black, and that means we're dealing with not colored squares. And the rest of them will actually become white, as you can see right here. That's going to be the way that you can tell the difference between colored squares and not colored squares. So now, what exactly are we doing with this module? And this module itself is actually not that hard to do. It is not too hard to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the position of the button in the table below to select a grid of colors, and we're going to press the black button when every non-black button on the module matches that grid. So currently we're taking a look at Charlie 3. So that's the position that we started at. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on this little individual grid right here. So we're going to be focusing on the magenta, the red, the yellow, blue, and so on and so forth. We're going to be focusing on this individual grid right here. So let's try and see if we can find a good color for this. Represent. That's not going to be helpful. It's a bit weird with these colors, but let's try black maybe? Yeah, there we go. All right. So this is going to be the grid that we're focusing on. And what we're essentially going to want to do is we're going to want to try and recreate this entire grid right here. And the way that we want to do this is actually quite interesting. So if we take a look here, we're going to press the black button to submit the module, but we don't want to do that quite yet. And we're going to press a button in the same row or column as the black button to swap those buttons' colors. So it's almost, for example, for those of you who are familiar with Mystic Square, it's going to be similar to that, except you are now able to do basic swaps throughout the entire time, as long as it is in the same column or row. Now, generally what I'd like to do is actually like to go in this in reading order. I'd like to start on just this on row 1, 2, 3, and 4, just to simply find out which one we're missing and to make our lives a little bit easier. So let's take a look. So to start us off at the top, we have magenta, red, yellow, and blue. So let's start setting that up. So we have, let's head on over here. Let's head over to here. Magenta, red, yellow, and blue. That's already set up for us. Perfect. Then next up we have a blue, magenta, red, blue. So blue, let's go over here. Blue, magenta, let's get a red over here. Let's do magenta, blue, magenta, red, blue. Then what we have here is a yellow, blue, yellow, blue. Now, taking a look here, one of the things that we're missing is we're actually missing one of these yellows, and our goal is to generally find the color that is going to be missing here. There's always going to be exactly one that simply is not missing. This grid requires us to have 3 yellows. However, we only have 2 present on the module. This means that that one of these yellows is going to be our submit spot for this. So that's what we need to know. So now I'm already taking a look at this row here, and we already have the yellow that is not present already set up. We have the rest of the row taken care of. We have the blue, yellow, and blue. So now what we want to do is we want to take care of the last row, which in this case is going to be magenta, green, red, and blue. So magenta, let's do magenta, green, red, and blue. Now what we need to do at this point is we need to get this blue over to here. However, it's not that simple. Actually, it is quite simple. All we simply need to do is we simply need to move this blue down, and then we simply go over to this blue, put it back in its place. And now, as you can see, what we have here is we have the exact same replicated grid, except with one missing space, which in this case is this yellow, and we have replicated every single cell that's been possible. In this case, we have magenta, red, yellow, blue, blue, magenta, red, blue, blank, which in this case would be represented by yellow, however we don't have that, blue, yellow, blue, and then magenta, green, red, blue. We hit the black arrow, we hit the black spot, the black square to submit it, and just like that is a solid module. That's all you simply need to do with this module. It is a fairly simple one, and it's actually not that bad to do. So that is all we're going to be doing. It's just the key here is identifying it between not colored squares and normal colored squares. It is a little bit weird how it does that. I'm not sure why it necessarily needed to do that. I'm still also a little bit savvy of the missed opportunity to call this mystic colored squares, but I digress. So, but that is all you're simply going to do. It's actually quite simple. Just make sure that you remember that you can swap between same row or same column that has the black button in it. And as you saw, I was obviously jumping around all over the place, but as long as it is in the same row or column, you should be good to go. Let's take a look at one final example, and let's get this thing done. So, let's take a look. All right. So, we had yellow here, and this is going to be represented by a Charlie 4. So it's going to be down here in this little corner. Okay, let's hit it. All of them turn white. The one that we highlighted turned black. So let's take a look. So first things first, we have a blue, magenta, green. So let's do that. So let's do this. So we've got blue, magenta, green. Let's get over here. Let's move it up here and let's swap those two. Blue, magenta, green. Then we have blue, magenta, yellow, green. Then we have, let's get up here. So blue, magenta. Let's get one down here. Blue, magenta. Then we have a yellow that we need to get to. Yellow and a green. Okay. Blue, magenta, yellow, green. Perfect. Then what we need is a red, yellow, magenta, red. Okay. We have the magenta over here. So red, red, yellow, and obviously, as you just saw there, I wasn't able to click at these different positions. It doesn't give you a strike if you happen to select a position that is not in the same row or same column, thankfully. The only time you'll get a strike is if you don't have the grid set up and you happen to press submit. So, we have a red, yellow, magenta, red. And then for our last row here, we have a green, blue, yellow, blue. So in this case, the one that we're missing is going to be the yellow once again. However, it's going to be at this exact coordinate. We only have 2 yellows. We need 3 of them. That's not going to work. So now what we simply need to do is we need to simply swap this green and this blue, which is actually quite simple. So we just do you. I struck it. I'm going to continue on anyways because it's almost the end. I'm going to do this a little bit faster. But essentially what happened was that I accidentally hit the submit button in this example. And as you just saw, I happened to strike. So let's do it one more time. In this case, this is a Charlie 1, and I'm just going to do this silently by myself. So hopefully you guys have followed along at this point, or clicked off, and didn't see that mistake. Charlie 1 here. So we have, to start us off with, we have green, yellow, blue, blue in this example. We've got quite a few of them. Let's move down here. Careful. Green, yellow, blue, blue. Then we have another yellow right here. Yellow, red, blue, green. Okay. Then we have a red, magenta, green, red, magenta, green, red. The red is the one that we're missing here. And then we have a blue, blue, green, magenta, magenta. Let's move over here because we have rather a bit weird one. We do, for example, get over here, blue, get over here, green, magenta, and then green. There we go. Now we have this entire thing set up. All we have to do is hit submit, and just like that. Apologies for the strikes, apologies for the errors. They didn't happen. Redacted, off the record. You didn't see anything. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.